The following is a presentation of the Belly Up Sports Media Network.
Welcome in to the Belly Up Sports College Football Tailgate. It has been a long offseason. Our livers have made it. Everyone, thank your livers. But we're not giving them a rest. It's time. It's a new era in college football. Realignment, that man that has terrorized college football for the past 17 years. And I'm not counting before that. Obviously, he started before, but he had a little respite in the NFL. Nick Saban is gone. First up, we got a great panel for you tonight. Probably the person who's happiest Nick Saban is gone. The only Auburn fan I associate with. We love that voodoo that you do with Auburn Jesus. We have Kelsey from High Low Sports. Kelsey, how are you doing?
Doing good. A lot better that with a mess that Alabama's in after Nick Saban's gone. It makes me feel a little better about how dysfunctional Auburn is right now.
That's true. But we are doing something for this. We're going to start the season off positively. Say something nice about your biggest rival.
You guys have really pretty girls that go to school there when I was in college there. Yeah, we'll go with that.
Okay, we're not doing that shit. I think.
No. In all seriousness, we jokingly said we talked about this off the air. In all seriousness, you guys actually do put out some really good linebackers and defensive players throughout the year, and historically going all the way back to Alabama days. When it comes to linebacker, I don't think there's any question that it is Alabama, despite what Miami fans might say. It's Alabama. That's linebacker you. That's really defensive you when we get down to it. So biggest credit to Alabama and their defensive production.
All right. Well, I was going to say something snarky, and I wasn't even going to have everyone else do this, but now you actually said something nice. So I feel like I have to say something.
Put you on the spot. I put you on the spot. You got to say.
Yeah, I don't have anything nice to say about Auburn. Sorry for your trees, I guess, from Harvey Updike. I think that's that. No, I'm serious. Sorry about your trees. Sorry. I'm sorry for poison. Not personally, but I'm sorry Alabama fans poisoned the Eastern Alabama watershed because they put a Cam Newton jersey on a Bear Bryant statue. So, but
with some tape.
Yeah, you mentioned you mentioned Jared. We have Jared, biggest Hurricanes fan I know, probably one of the less annoying ones on Twitter. They're all delusional. Jared's a little delusional, but he's not bad. He understands kind of what's going on in the state of Miami football. Jared, how you doing? How have you gotten through the offseason?
I'm good. Getting through the offseason has been exciting because I don't have to deal with Tyler Van Dyke anymore. He disrespects all Connecticut football players. My man is mentally tough as melted cheese, so he can have fun over at Wisconsin. But I did cheese Wisconsin. But I'm excited. I haven't been this excited for a Miami Hurricane season since 2020. So this should be fun.
That's true. And I wasn't going to make everyone else do it, but since Kelsey took it seriously, say something nice about Florida State to start the season.
Mike Norvell is a very good coach.
Okay. That's honestly more than I thought I was going to get you.
Yeah, and next up, that was good.
The man who I forgot to put in the promotional graphic, and then two of the people in that graphic dropped out of the show today. No, we have kids. Yeah, so did my mom. That didn't stop her from having a good time.
We got
What
one
is
on the board,
going
kids.
here? The content over kids. That's the motto. But the newest member of the SEC, DJ, also from the High Low Sports Podcast. DJ, how you doing, bud?
I'm doing well, despite being always left out at the very bottom 3 times over. But I'm glad to be here. I'm glad. It doesn't matter how we got here. I'm just glad that I'm here.
Yeah, exactly. And since I made the other to do it, say something nice about your biggest rival.
Oh, that's a tough one. I hate them all so much. You know what? We'll pick the Longhorns, and I'll say they do a really good job recruiting in spurts. They have their moments where they're outstanding. They just take a 15-year gap in between.
That's fair. And I'll do a serious one since I treat it as a joke. Rocky Top slaps.
That is true.
I hate to admit it. It's a good song.
Okay. I'll accept that enough. DJ, I do think you need to explain the Texas A&M shirt just for those watching, because you are an Oklahoma fan. I think it's worth mentioning, but
I'm an equal opportunist. When I get a comfy polo for free, I'm going to wear it.
Okay, that's that. I was like, I could have sworn he was an Oklahoma fan. Did I just mess this up? Is he not a new SEC member? Has he been here for over a decade now?
To be fair, I just got the polo before Oklahoma's played a game in the SEC. So you know what? Now it's a little contradicting at this point, so it can't be worn at least one day of the year. But the rest of the time, it's cool. Comfort and content over kids.
I'll accept that. But we were going to talk about this later. But have you guys all had a chance to play CFB 25?
Oh yeah,
currently have it on right now.
All right. So Billy said Tennessee is his online dynasty team. At first, I just saw dynasty. I was like, that's a choice. I feel like they're too good to be a dynasty, but online dynasty, I'll let it slide. I think it checks out. What are you guys' thoughts on the games as it's taken over? It's seemingly on Twitter.
So, Road to Glory is a blast. I've had a lot of fun with it. The running back controls are so much fun. It's honestly really addicting. Either power or speed back, they're both very fun. I will say this though, you get no room for error throwing the football. It is just a nightmare. If my dynasty, to answer Billy's question though, if we're doing the Tennessee standards, I would pick obviously Miami. But if we're doing we want to start with a rebuild team, I always pick Hawaii.
Hawaii's fun. You love the Rainbow Warriors.
Yeah. No, I got to be honest. I'm a dynasty fiend when it comes to college football. 25. I think I've played 7 different dynasties for at least a decade. And I literally have picked the worst teams, and it's awful. And you hate the first 3 years. But I'm also the same person that I'll take it and I'll schedule my open games, like my FCSs and stuff. No, I'm going with number 1, number 2, number 3 if I can absolutely do it, and just want to see how bad my team really is. And yeah, it's not fun in the first 3 years of those dynasties, but then it's surprising how easy it is once you get 3-4 years in to actually get some quality recruits at Coastal or Southern Mississippi or Tulane or Kennesaw State. And by the way, my Kennesaw State did not win a national championship despite my best efforts.
You got to recruit better. You got to get better at kicking. We've been over.
Yeah. God, forget kicking. That is awful.
No, it's terrible. DJ, thoughts on the game?
Road to Glory is awesome. Dynasty's awesome. I've only played Dynasty with the Raging Cajun so far, and it's a blast. I love recruiting and turning them. The gameplay itself is a little bit messy. There's some room for improvement there, in my opinion, but overall, it's a great game. I feel 6 seasons in with the Raging Cajun, so I clearly must be enjoying it a little bit to put myself through that.
That's fair. I feel like it has gotten weirdly a lot of hate the last couple weeks on Twitter. A lot of people are like, "Oh, this game's unplayable. It's terrible." It's not unplayable. It's not a perfect game, but no game that comes out is perfect on launch, which is insane to say nowadays. I'm paying $70 for a game.
I'm paying $70 for 80% of a game.
Yeah.
One thing I did see, and shout out to Benchwarmer Brand. If you haven't, his TikToks are hilarious, but he did make one point in one of his videos where a lot of the guys who are complaining how the game is broken, about 70% of them are playing Ultimate Team, not Road to Glory or Dynasty, the game modes that are actually made for this game. The invention of Ultimate Team has ruined EA Sports games. That is my I could write an essay about it if I wasn't illiterate, because I would go for miles on it. The thing is, like Dynasty, I can't wait to go play after this, right? Like I don't have a show tonight. This is all I got. So I'm going to go play Ultimate Dynasty after this. I'm going to go play Road to Glory because I'm looking forward to it. If I don't mix in a little Fallout 4 too, but I could give a F. I have so many card packs unlocked in Ultimate Team. I haven't touched them. Yeah. So that's a personal opinion there, but
I'm in the same boat. Ultimate Team can fly a kite in college football. That is the dumbest mode to be put into a college football game I've ever seen. Just because it doesn't make sense. Yes, today's day and age has the NIL and all that stuff, but the Ultimate Team is not about that. That's like, if you want to play with historic figures, go use the old 1967 teams that they used to populate the game with, or go use the team builder system and go download one of these rosters for an old classic team. But yeah, I'm not trying to sit here and build my Ultimate Team using Lamar Jackson and Amari Cooper and like, don't get me wrong, that would be cool. I'm not here for it. That's just, then again, that I guess a difference in age here. I've played the classics where if I want to build that superstar team, I'm going to Dynasty and I'm recruiting the 5-star guys to make my that super team. Ultimate Team. I've never liked Ultimate Team in any game, so No,
I hate it. Anyone playing this game for Ultimate Team needs to go to jail.
Or go
play for what crimes they need to be locked up.
There's definitely a rehab system in place for these guys.
I will say, if there was any sports games coming in the last 3 years that actually has kind of handled the Ultimate Team kind of thing, Diamond Dynasty and MLB The Show isn't terrible. It's not bad. I will give it, like, I hate most Ultimate Team modes. Like 2Ks, I can't even touch. I refuse. But Diamond Dynasty ain't terrible, but still, it's an abomination game mode. Madden should be ashamed of themselves.
Yeah. 2K fans are also upset about College Football 25, and I don't know why. They're like, see, this game's terrible. Like, there's not a lot of cross-play. A lot of people who are playing or are this excited about CAP 25 are not turning around and going, 2K's out now, and vice versa.
Yeah. I haven't bought a 2K since Giannis was on the cover. And that was because it was $3 on All-Star Weekend.
I was going to say, I only get it for free when it goes on Xbox Game Pass. I'm not spending the money. I spent the money on Game Pass. I'm not about to pay for it elsewhere.
I only spend the money on games that are worth it. So this was obviously worth it. Like, I will pay for the Indiana Jones game when it comes out. I'll probably
this is the first game I bought in 2 years.
Yeah.
So
same. Halo. What is it? Halo Infinite was the last game I bought.
Oh, Harry Potter was mine. So tells you where my brain goes.
That was not 2 years ago.
2 years ago, Halo Infinite was 3.
A year? Yeah, no. Sorry, it's been a year and 8 months, 6 months, 7 months, something like that.
Okay, I don't know. I moved out 2 years ago. Okay, nope, checks out. But yeah, I think it's a good game. I think it's also a good time for it to come out. Obviously, the last 10 years would have been a good time for it to come out. But with kind of the craziness that is college football, that realignment's bringing us, it's nice that you can kind of rebuild the Pac-12. You can put SMU back where it belongs. You can put Stanford back where it belongs. And this is going to be an insane year. You have 18 schools in the Big Ten. You have like 16 in the Big 12 now. The Pac-12 has 2 teams in it. What are you guys' thoughts on realignments? DJ, you didn't talk much last time, so you can go first.
Can I love it and hate it at the same time? Like, can I think it's awesome but absolutely terrible? Like, the Pac-2 thing is embarrassing. The Pac-12 being a casualty is awful. But the fact that we get to see Oregon versus Michigan during the regular season, we get to see matchups like that. You get to see Alabama versus Oklahoma during the regular season. It's going to be incredible. It's the Thanos meme. It's wonderful, but it cost everything. So much of it was lost during that. So I like it, but at the same time, I absolutely hate it. And I think it's going to be a little bit messy. And I'm curious how it's going to lead. We'll talk about it later with the college football playoff. But now you're going to have, 4 at-large conference champions, if I'm not mistaken? So what are you going to do with the other 8? Like, it's going to be just like it was before. It's a smorgasbord of people picking. So I'm curious. But I love the matchups we're going to see this year. But I hate what it cost. I hate that the Pac-12 is now basically Tweedledee and Tweedledum. It's Step Brothers on the West Coast at this point.
It's awesome, though. Jared, I know you have strong thoughts about this.
So my biggest problem is my conference is an abomination garbage can that should be ashamed to exist. I despise the ACC. I want their commissioners thrown in jail. They have been coddling Clemson and for the last 10 years, and their golden goose has decided just to disappear with Dabo not being able to use the transfer portal correctly or at all, and Cade Klubnik not being a quarterback, or neither was DJ Ungalungale. I think I pronounced that close. Close enough. DJU. We're going back to the classic. Ohio State Dominoes, Kev. So that's my biggest thing. The fact is, like, you have teams like Florida State, North Carolina, Clemson, and even my Canes that honestly could be a better asset to either the Big Ten or the ACC or the SEC. They'd get smoked, but at least it brings in better than whatever the hell Arkansas is right now. Now that they lost KJ Jefferson.
Well, now, don't tell them Pig Sueys that they're not good.
Let them win more than 8 games.
They got that hog in them. They're embracing.
You ever seen what happens when wild hogs come and say hi? It's not fun.
Come on, they've had Vanderbilt.
40 feral hogs in my front yard.
Listen, I'm going hog hunting next year. I'm excited. So
don't lay down next to them; they'll fuck you up.
Jared is gonna come back with a tusk wound.
Yeah, guaranteed. He's gonna forget that he's not supposed to stand on the fence when he's trying to shoot them while they're in the corral.
He's gonna go into an episode of the Corner Booth live stream, just arm in a sling. You just see the gauze all wrapped up on his shoulder. Jared, what the hell happened? Hogs, man.
Ran out of ammo.
Them Razorbacks.
For the first time in his life, he found a hog that was too big for him. Kelsey, what are your thoughts on realignment?
I gotta compose myself after that one. No, honestly, I might be the most who cares about conference realignment out of anybody. Just I look at it this way: there's pros and cons, right? The pros are really crappy teams that are getting into these big conferences are now getting a big share of this money that's flying around, meaning that they're going to get better, meaning that there's potentially going to be parity. Obviously, with NIL, that plays into it as well. I'm of the mindset, as a soccer fan, I could care less about conferences. Don't give me conferences. Just show me the best teams matching up. That's all I care about. I just want to see great matchups, and I do want to see historic matchups. Obviously, Kevin and I, there's a date here around Thanksgiving that I don't think Kevin and I are allowed to talk for legal reasons. It's just like, and that needs to stay that way. And Texas, Oklahoma needs to stay that way. But beyond that, like being able to see actual real matchups that mean something in the regular season is a bigger boon for this idea of a realignment than I think a lot of people want to give credit to. That everybody's like, oh, tradition. Most conferences outside of the SEC don't have tradition. Most of these conferences were rebuilt in the last 40 years anyways. So this is just another step in the path and the SEC is finally getting on board with the idea of maybe we should bring in quality, historic teams. And now you have the SEC with what it is, where they have protected matchups and they're going to have all these great matchups year in, year out that are going to mean something at the end of the day, which I think is a lot better than Alabama or Auburn playing Appalachian State. Yeah, take any pick of the teams we just named, Like it's going to be better for the greater football game, and I think that's a big plus. Obviously, you add in the kickoff games into this conversation because that already started this conference realignment talk of those Chick-fil-A kickoff games every year because that was one guaranteed good matchup on somebody's schedule. And now you're adding in a whole bunch more as teams get more and more involved. Now, do I like the Pac-10 having a 24-pack? No, that's dumb. Do I like the Big 12 being 16 teams? No. But you know what? It's going to be fun to watch half of the teams play and the other half, well, congratulations on your paycheck. We'll see you in 3 to 5 years.
I'd also like to point out, I said New Mexico State, who beat Auburn last year.
I ignore it, but yeah.
They
got paid $1 million, $1.5 million. They got paid $1.5 million to go beat Auburn in Auburn.
I love it. You'll love to see it. But I see both sides of it. I do think one of the things that makes college football what it is the regionality to it. And a part of the issue with all this money coming in with the TV deals is it starts to lose that regionality. And they're like, well, let's try to get the biggest bag possible and get in as many teams as we can. And sometimes it works out. I think Texas and Oklahoma are great additions to the SEC. They're historic programs. You're keeping that rivalry that people care about. You're keeping the Red River Shootout. I'm never calling it Showdown or Classic. But then you have other parts where SMU is added to the ACC. What are they bringing? What is the Pony Express bringing to the ACC other than a historic death penalty.
Probably the second best offense in the league. I think.
Yeah, they got
Rhett
Lashley, who's like amazing.
Hey now,
offense.
whoa! Don't speak about my boy Rhett.
Hey, listen, he was my OC for 2 years. I love Rhett Lashley.
Man,
I'm 99% sure I've heard you rage against it. I think you were happy when he left.
I was.
No, not Rhett Lashley. I was sad when he left.
I was, because I thought Jess was going to pull his head out, but that didn't work.
But no, I do think that there's benefits and negatives. I think the problem is as this keeps going on and more schools keep getting added elsewhere, these drawbacks are going to become more apparent. I mean, I'm very excited to see Oregon try to stop a Power 5 in Illinois in the middle of December as much as the next guy, but I think year 2 or 3 of that, it's going to get old. And I think this has also made me reevaluate some things. I've been anti-Notre Dame not joining a conference for years now. I think it's stupid. It's cowardice. They were 100% right.
Wait,
now,
hold on. Oh, wait, hold on. Can we get that on repeat? Did you say Notre Dame was 100% right?
Yeah, we're not joining a conference.
Because I was going to say, that's my one counter to what you just said about, Oregon in the winter is obviously Notre Dame, USC. They don't play in Notre Dame in November, but whenever they play at USC, it's always November. They play at Notre Dame, it's always like August, September. So that was always,
But the problem is with them not being in the same conference, they can kind of schedule that game when they want with Oregon, Washington, and the California schools. They really are at the whims of the schedule. It doesn't matter. And then you look at the Pac-2 now. Notre Dame is a historic program, a lot of marketing. A lot of conferences would want them. But if something goes wrong, they don't want to be stuck in a conference where everyone then jumps ship. All the other conferences are like, no, we're good. We don't want you. We're full. We don't want to split our money with you, whatever. And then you're stuck in a team or a conference that used to be Power 5 and now is going to be Group of 6.
Yeah. I will say, though, it does limit who they can play, though. I do think while it's great for some of their historic matchups, like the USC's, UCLA, if they want to go back to that matchup, Florida State's, Miami's, they want to bring those in. That's great, but they'd also lose out on an opportunity to play an SEC school, to really play any other Big 12 school or Big 10 school. It seems to be kind of out of the picture. That's just based off the fact that now these guys are in other conferences. And let's not forget, Notre Dame still plays a loose ACC schedule, which is worth mentioning here, that they still do have a tie to the ACC as far as their contracting goes, because they play ACC every other sport.
Like North Carolina.
But my point still is they are still somewhat hamstrung because they didn't fully commit to being in the ACC in football, but they committed 6 of their games, I believe. So that does throw a little wrench in the idea of a full independent like a Navy is, which does provide Navy a little opportunity, though, too.
I think UConn. I don't think Navy's independent anymore.
No, they're still independent. It's Navy, BYU, Notre Dame.
BYU is not independent.
Oh, wait, that's right. They joined the Mountain West again, or no, Big 12. Sorry.
Yep.
Yeah, UConn's independent.
Yeah. The only problem I have is really just keeping up with everybody.
Navy has been in the American since 2015.
Oh.
I let the Pac-10 slide earlier. I wasn't going to let that slide.
Pac-2?
We got to draw the line.
Oh, no. I refuse to call them the Pac-12. To this day, I still refuse to call them the Pac-12.
Well, they're both wrong. It's the Pac-2 now. It's the Power of Friends. It's the Bill Walton Conference we decided on Tailgate in the Quad. It's ridiculous. And also, get numbered names out of conferences. The Big 10 has 18 schools. I flippantly refer to it as the Big 25, which is closer to the actual number than the number in the Big 10. The Big 12, get rid of it. And also even the ACC, the Atlantic Coast Conference, which has
just call it the East Coast Conference.
Yeah, no, you have California teams now.
I don't know why the whole Cal Stanford thing just still blows my mind, but
Coast Conference.
Hey, they got great in basketball, is what I just saw.
That is true. Kind of reloaded.
It's a shame we're sitting here talking football. I'm just kidding.
Oh,
God. Yeah, but Bears to win the ACC.
Nate, go home. You're drunk. And you don't even drink.
Yeah.
Well, he
Maybe
recently
again. I think he confused basketball season with football season.
Yeah, he recently became a Cal. He had to pick a college team for this season, and so he had like 5 different on our show. He went through like 5 different schools. Cruz tried to recruit him to Alabama. Matt and Chris tried to recruit him to LSU. We also pitched like Oregon and a few other ones. I didn't even try to recruit him to Miami. I knew it was a losing battle. So, and then he just shows up with a Cal polo on. He's like, "I'll go Cal."
I thought Nate was from Southern California, not Northern California. He's not
Northern Cal.
Is he? Oh yeah, that's right. He is in Berkeley. Never mind. You can be a Cal fan. Go ahead. We don't like it, but you can be a Cal fan.
You can be a Teddy Graham.
Regionality again. Back in college football, you root for your local teams, or you just
even the boss is like, "Nate, what the hell are you doing?"
Yeah, you could have picked Tulane at least. At least everybody would love you for picking the kind of troll team.
His 4th option. That was Chris, aka Chris's backup school.
Should have been the case.
Tulane's a great choice. They have an SEC championship, unlike Vanderbilt. Sorry,
talking
shit about
sir.
Of second nature.
Whoa,
Auburn very much has.
We have a couple of those actually.
Yeah,
I just love his fob comment.
Rock
the
sport.
ACC and wrestling.
Does ACC still have wrestling? I thought they got rid of it. Wrestling.
No, they have it. I believe.
Okay.
Iowa over Cal. I don't see any. I mean, offensively, no, but I think Iowa's defense.
Punting, yes, absolutely.
Yes.
Punting.
Oh,
women's basketball, sure.
You forgot Marshawn Lynch, by the way, Blaine. Just throwing it out there.
So there will not be any Deshaun Jackson. So no Deshaun Jackson slander here.
They also, even like 6 years ago, 10 years ago, Keenan Allen, Jared Goff.
I do love the wrestling call out though for Cal, because I did have a Cal Golden Bears wrestling hoodie when I was growing up as a kid with family in Northern California.
Nice.
So
I had a Hawaii Rainbow Warriors shirt because I had neighbors who went there every year to vacation. They were right on the corner from the AD's office. It was their vacation house.
It's fair. DJ, you got any weird or random college apparel besides the Texas A&M polo you're wearing?
It's comfort, not for support. But let's see. Ironically enough, I did have a Longhorns t-shirt as a lad too, so it was very contradictory. And I had a Florida State hat because someone meant to give me a Gators one to be funny, and they got me Florida State, so they couldn't even insult me properly. So there's been some random things throughout.
I had a Marcus Mariota jersey t-shirt.
I had 26 different college hats that were not Auburn.
I have about
because
4.
of recruitment stuff.
That's fair. I also have a lot, not from recruitment. These schools didn't necessarily want me to go there, but I toured them.
And they give you free shirts. That was the best part.
Some did. Other ones, like I just got shirts from wherever I went. I've started doing that again now. Like whenever I go somewhere, I buy like a polo from that school near there. But this one, I'm more selective. Like I have a UNLV one, a Coastal Carolina one, an Air Force one. I think that's all I have right now. But I did have a Tennessee one Tennessee T-shirt at some point because I toured Knoxville, and oh my god,
was it at least gray and not orange? That's the
it was orange. I never wore it. I threw it out.
Okay, good man.
Yeah, it's that puke inside of a pumpkin orange. But no, all right, this is slightly off topic. Knoxville is the grossest campus I've ever stepped foot on.
Yeah. I've heard that. I had a buddy who went to Knoxville. He said it was disgusting.
Okay, so you have 2 kinds of colleges, I feel. You have the ones who are classic. They haven't really updated anything since like the 1930s. So it's like old, but it's like that classic look. And then you have the modern ones where they've rebuilt the campus recently. Tennessee was just stuck in 1970. Like none of the buildings were renovated since then. And this was 10 years ago, so it might have changed since. But it was terrible.
Not much. I'll say not much. Are we counting Vanderbilt or no? Because their campus is technically downtown Nashville.
I did not tour Vanderbilt because I was like, I'm not getting in here. I'm an idiot.
That's fair. Their campus is not bad, but it's also downtown Nashville. So
I feel like it's location for them.
Yeah.
Like,
Take your
their
pick on
campus-
that one. If you like Nashville, you'll like Vandy's campus. But if you don't, not so much.
That's fair. All right, let's get back on topic. Since we're talking a lot about conference moves and all that going on, the group of 5 schools are getting together. They are terrified of being left out of the college football playoffs, even though they now have a guaranteed spot. But they want to make the NIT of college football for their champion. I have thoughts on this, but Kelsey, what are your thoughts on the NIT of college football?
Well, congratulations on your consolation trophy. But no, I honestly don't hate this as much as maybe a lot of folks might, just because it might make these extra bowl games that are already there a little bit more advantageous, a little bit more exciting. Because I mean, how many bowl games are there between December 18th and December 27th when they really start to
something?
Yeah, there's like 55 bowl games in a year. Most of them are in that stretch. Like, make them useful for something, I guess. But I don't hate it. I'm just hoping they do it wisely and don't try to like screw this one up.
I still think you want to fix the bowl season. Just move the transfer portal early window behind the national championship game. That would solve a lot of problems. But my personal thoughts on this was simply, how are they going to handle? Are they not going to let Power 5 conference teams in? How I want to see how they handle this whole thing. I mean, to Kelsey's point, congratulations on your precipitation trophy as I bobbled the football. I got Aguilar hands right now.
Well, if it was Aguilar hands, you would have dropped it before catching. You just had to fumble it instead.
That Nelson Aguilar
I'm
joke.
sorry, Miles Sanders in the Super Bowl.
That hit way too many people in this group of us. Like, that hit half of the people here.
Yeah, DJ, thoughts on the NIT of college football?
See, I don't have too many thoughts on it. I think it's a neat idea. We'll see how it works. I obviously, as Kelsey mentioned, that bowl season for like that 2-week period, I just want to see teams actually play and not have half the team sitting out. So anything that could give us kind of that little bit of a lull period, get us something to watch, that would be cool. So I'm for it, I guess. Hopefully they get it right. Not too many thoughts on it. It seems like a neat idea, though.
Yes, Kevin, there are about 100 bowl games. It's absurd. I personally think this is the dumbest idea ever. I don't think it's going to fix anything. Guys are still going to opt out. Look, if you're a first-round pick in the NFL draft, potentially, you're not going to play in the NIT of college football. Basketball players, you get to do that because, A, the schools playing in the NIT probably aren't good enough to have a guy go in the NBA draft, and you're not as likely to ruin the rest of your life from a hit in basketball. So I think this is not a good idea. I think it's not going to change anything. And I think it's just people are just going to make fun of it even more so. You saw UCF try to claim a national championship that did not come from the college football playoffs. That's what will happen.
Why we got to go there, Kevin?
That's what's going to happen. Like, oh, Coastal Carolina won the NIT of college football. Let's put up the banner. Fake natty.
How many titles does Alabama claim from Golf Magazine? Just serious question.
None.
3.
Golf Digest. 2.
Sorry, Golf Digest. My bad.
2. But
is it 2? I thought it was 3. Magazine. Okay, yeah.
No. The third one was weird. Like, they were co-champions with, I think it was Army that year. And Army's like, we're not recognizing a national championship from Golf Digest. So I was like, ugh, we got to respect the troops on this one. So, yeah. But I think it's dumb. I think it's ridiculous. I think they need to stop. I mean, look, you bitched and moaned your way into getting a guaranteed spot in the college football playoffs. So, it's fine. But
I don't know, man. I just give them their candy cane. I'm not going to give them like roses for this. Just give them their candy canes. Let's call it swell. Everybody deserves a little bit of like, hey, you got beat up. Congratulations. Go get paid your $200,000 to go play in the bowl game. But no, I do want to say, like, kind of, we all have talked about this, transfer portal wise. You want people to not opt out. You have to play in your last game of the season to be eligible for the transfer portal. How's that sound for?
Ooh, I like that.
Like, whether that be a bowl game or anything else.
Actually physically injured.
No. If you're injured, you definitely can't transfer. Same rules as being traded. You cannot be traded as somebody on the IL. You cannot transfer if you are actually injured unless you were going to run out of college eligibility. In which case, yes, you can transfer for that extra year. But that's the only reason, and it has to be a verifiable injury. And like if you want to fix opt-outs, there you go. That's how you fix opt-outs for non going to the draft type of reasons.
So if a guy tears his ACL week 5, he's miserable, he hates the program he's at, he can't transfer at the end of the season?
If he's not healthy enough to play in his last game.
I hate that rule already.
I mean, the no trade thing on the IR is more so to protect the players.
Nobody's going to be able to take care of you better than the team that has been monitoring you since before the injury. Just saying, they have the medical history. If you transfer now, obviously, and the difference being, if I were to transfer from Mississippi State to Vanderbilt, I would get better care at Vanderbilt. But I'm also transferring down. That's something to consider. So if you're trying to transfer up, like most of these kids are on injuries and going home and being closer to home reasons, you can't transfer up, but you can transfer down. Go ahead. But if you're injured and can't play in your last game, you're not allowed to transfer up, which is what most of these kids want to do. And there you go.
I think if you're out with like a torn ACL or a broken ankle or something like that, you should be able to get shoo through that. But if you just sit out because of soreness or insert any like week to week day-to-day injury in there, you can't transfer.
And I think with that, like if you put like a severity of the injury thing, like you have to miss X amount of weeks, the school, if you're a star player, is going to come out and be like, yeah, no, they weren't injured. They weren't that badly injured. To block the transfer, which I think is better, but then just saying, nope, you can't be injured if you want to transfer.
Makes it, to me, I look at it in the way of it keeps the kid, the kid wants to leave, right? The school doesn't want him to. At that point in time, it's no different than withholding a college transcript for a regular student, which happens regularly. But it also is a regulation that you sign when you're going to school there. So if you sign it beforehand, the school can't be made to look bad if they were to just come out and say like, oh yeah, he wasn't actually injured. Then they look like jerks because they're putting this kid on blast. Whereas in reality, if it's just a standardized rule, you're protecting the school and you're protecting the player at the same time from bad image, which in an era of NIL problems, that's part of this conversation.
I think there's a lot of problems with NIL. I don't think the transfer portal for injury is one of them.
No, I'm just using for an example. Like it's not necessarily injury. It's just purely if you can't play in your last game of the season, whatever your team's last game in the season is, you are not allowed to transfer. Like just establish that rule, blanket rule across the board. Call it swell.
What if they brought back in where you can still transfer an injured, you just can't play that following season? So if someone really needs to get out of Dodge, then, or if they're coming off that injury, then they could still get out of there, but they can't play the next year if they're injured. Then it's cool either way.
Yeah, free red shirt. That's fine.
Yeah, just something like the old transfer portal used to be, where if you left at a certain time, then you had to sit the next year. Just bring that back for if you don't play the last game. That way they can still get out.
I like that idea. However, I don't like the NCAA making decisions just on principle.
Same.
I don't. They said, yeah, you can leave to one guy who's just coach left. Oh, your mom has chemotherapy treatments and you want to be close to her? Sorry, hands are tied. You signed a letter of intent. I'm sorry, but I think to build off of DJ's idea, I think it's a good idea, but it needs improvement. I think if you are injured and get a medical red shirt earlier in the year, then you can transfer out without having to sit. And then if you want to transfer just because now it sucks if you get injured week 5 after being a starter and you want to transfer, but I think it takes some of the decision making out of Charlie Baker and the NCAA's hands.
That's fair. Yeah, I'm just like, look, there's not a lot you can do to limit it right now, but yeah, I do think it's always been dumb when the NCAA is like, hey, you're not allowed to transfer despite it being a vital reason, but then a kid whose parents no longer live in Dallas, Texas, moves to a school in Dallas, Texas, and now his parents live in Nacogdoches or, New Orleans or somewhere closer to like an LSU. And instead of going closer to home, he's going to what was previously home while has a better situation. Like that's kind of dumb. But like the Jay Prosh situation, former Auburn guy, but he was at Illinois. His mom was one of those people that got diagnosed with cancer, was going through chemo. He legitimately moved back home to be close to his parent, but they did originally deny his eligibility to play because of that. And it's like, that's the dumb reason. Now, the positive, like, obviously there are positive reasons, like they obviously reestablish his eligibility, but like, that shouldn't be a fight. If that guy's mom's actually in the hospital, come on. But if it's just something dumb like, oh, this especially in NIL situations, this school is offering me $1 million or whatever stupid number Oregon wants to throw out at somebody, that should not be allowed. That's where that's why I have the issue of like, you got to come up with some kind of blanket rule just to slow it down first and then fix it, fine tune it afterwards. But yeah, you got to figure out something. This is, in the grand scheme of things, I shouldn't be seeing kids trading places and having a new kid or same face in a new place every season with 50 some odd names.
No, hey, we had to level the playing field. We needed the transfer portal. We needed the NIL because big bad Alabama was winning too much. We had to knock them down and not realizing that the good schools that are already beating everyone, your Alabamas, your Ohio States, your LSUs, your Georgias, have the most resources to then get more NIL money and then beat everyone worse. No, who could have seen this coming?
Despite your head coach's unwillingness to actually go into the transfer portal and pull big names. Alabama, I think, is one of the best examples of the coach being like, why would I go into the transfer portal when I have 4 and 5 stars right here? Obviously, he did it limited, like in very limited basis. He brought in really good names.
Like Gibbs, Wilson, and Williams.
Yeah. But it's, I mean,
Tyler Buckner.
We're talking 5, 6 guys. Yeah. Just go Buckner. He's a great lacrosse player, is what I heard. But
he's a great wide receiver.
Yeah, but there's like 5 or 6 players every year for Alabama that maybe comes into the transfer portal. 2 of them are walk-ons. The other 3 get a scholarship out of a 55-man roster. That's a pretty good percentage. Whereas, like, you look at what Florida State or Louisville or NC State for a couple years here, they're 75%. Yeah, A&M 75% or more transfers in this.
Colorado, like the obvious example.
Yeah, I didn't want to go there because I feel like we was moment somebody touches on Dion.
I actually kind of want to.
We are. Don't worry.
Yeah, I didn't want to go there yet. I was trying to save that list,
Jared. Sorry, continue.
But no, that was my point though. Just like I'm tired of seeing 75% rosters made through a transfer portal, while these kids that are trying to be recruited are no longer being recruited because of this and because of the transfer portal openness. It's like there needs to be some limitations put into place. Now, keep paying the kids though. That's fine.
Yeah, and then meanwhile though, you have, like you said, kind of Nick Saban. He brought a couple guys in, nothing crazy. You had other schools bringing in everyone. And then you had Dabo building his program in the name, image, and likeness of Jesus Christ and refuses to go to the transfer portal because when you sign a commitment, God damn it, you got to stay with that commitment.
Except for offensive linemen because he doesn't know how to recruit offensive linemen. By the way, he just recruited his first 5-star offensive lineman since his first year as a coach at Clemson.
He's not staying for long, is he?
No.
Dabo is not long for this world as head coach of the Clemson Tigers.
I would be interested to see where he goes next. Because the thing is, like, I think if Klubnik doesn't turn around this year, is he really going to want to come around for one more swing?
Depends. Well, how's Kalen DeBoer doing at Alabama?
I have thoughts on Kalen DeBoer at Alabama, but I think it really depends. But where Dabo would go next, pastor of a megachurch, maybe.
I love it. That's Joel. We're doing it.
He is an Alabama guy.
Baptist church.
Do you know how much you have to suck for Alabama fans to say, no, we do not want the former national championship winning player anywhere near our school? Do you know how bad you have? Alabama went through a cycle of Bear Bryant assistants and players after he retired. And then we dabbled with some other dudes and a coach who paid strippers using university credit card and lasted 3 months before he was fired. Legend, by the way.
That wasn't Larry Coker. Who was that?
Allegedly, it was Mike Price.
Yep, that's right, Price.
Allegedly. And we had varying degrees of success under them. Obviously, Mike Shula sucked. Gene Stalling won a national championship. Shout out Miami Hurricanes. But how much you have to suck and be annoying as a person for Alabama fans to go, never Dabo.
Just saying, man. Alabama does love their alumni. That's all I got to say. Let me rephrase that. Alabama boosters love their alumni, especially their Jesus-loving alumni. That's.
I think the problem is at this point, and I'm not saying the administration listens to fans on this stuff. Like they're like, this is the best decision for athletics. We don't care. They would have a full-on riot if they hired Dabo.
They should.
We would poison our own trees this time.
Yeah, I feel like somebody would take that bear and Nick Saban trophy or statue and just put it in the middle of Bryant Denny just to prove a point. Like, no, this is not his stadium. He's not allowed here.
Yeah, maybe not those two. Maybe all the other ones though, just to prove a point, just because they don't want to be struck down by God. But since Jared asked about it, we'll talk about some of the shenanigans going on in college athletics right now. Starting with Georgia, what is going on in Athens? Since Jalen Carter had his little street racing debacle that resulted in 2 deaths, shout out Eagles, there have been 25 driving-related offenses committed by Georgia. Not 25 total offenses. That number is way higher. It's 25 players being caught for driver-related offenses. Kirby, not Dabo, has said, like, we don't support this. We don't approve of this, which, yeah, you have to say that. But your guys are still doing it, so clearly you got to get it going. DJ, what are your thoughts on Athens not teaching defensive driving?
The University of Georgia mean machine at this point, like, my goodness, it never seems to end. Someone going to get punished for it? Like, has anyone ever actually been suspended while they were at Georgia for this? Am I missing something? Like, it feels like it's do as you please, just no repercussions, no anything. So it's not like Athens is a place you can get away with driving like that too. I mean, it doesn't seem like it's necessarily that big of backwoods where you can do that. So it's like, how does this keep happening?
I was going to ask, anybody actually been to the campus of Athens and seen, like, is it like that much fun to drive there? Like, what?
No, there are cops every 5 feet. Are you kidding me? Like,
this is what I'm trying to understand. Kelsey,
it is a small
driving habits in Western PA getting to the conference because those roads are fun to drive. This is
you wouldn't survive. No, Athens is a small square for those that don't know how most Southern college cities are. It's a small square city layout in downtown, and that's where all the bars are. The school is actually built off one of the basically annexes of the square. A small village. That's the best way to describe it. It is a small village. It basically quadruples in size the moment there's game day. It's kind of how Athens has worked. Obviously, now it's been built up a lot more as industry and stuff has come into the area because of the school, but the cops still hate everybody, especially student drivers. That doesn't change. But yeah, I will say one thing that's not taught there is definitely any driving course. There's no driver safety classes at all.
No, a video went around. They were teaching the football team defensive driving.
Were they, or were they just teaching defensive players how to drive?
Yes. Same difference.
By the way, DJ, you asked the question if anybody's been suspended or anything. One player did get kicked off the team finally after his fourth traffic violation this year.
So we're 1 for 25 now.
I don't think he was a starter either.
No, he was like a backup. He was like a junior, sophomore, or whatever.
The sacrificial lamb.
Georgia fans are going, this is what you're supposed to do. Why haven't you done it the other 24 times when they were actually good players?
Thugga is why.
Yeah, but the spin zone, the Georgia football team just really loves the police and is donating to them through traffic tickets.
Back the blue.
Kevin, you should work in PR again.
I guess that's what that sticker on the back of their cars means.
Yeah, they back the blue every day of the week, 1 traffic citation at a time.
Twice on Sundays.
But also, same with Boulder. What is going on? There's a story whose name I am forgetting.
It's Cromartie, right?
Cromartie. Thank you. He said the whole team was bullying him. They're being forced to go to Shiloh Sanders' rap performances with Lil Wayne. Boulder's a shit show right now.
Oh, I cannot wait for this to nuke itself. Like, are you kidding me? I started to slightly kind of like the whole Colorado thing for about 30 seconds last offseason. And then they got absolutely smoked by Oregon. And then I watched the Dan Lanning video and I was laughing hysterically because I was like, you know what? This is football karma at its greatest. And then they proceeded to go 1-8, 1-7 the rest of the year. Magnificent. I just think Deion's whole style worked at Jackson State. It probably could work in the NFL. I don't think it's going to work at a D1 program, especially at Colorado, which hasn't really had a good history besides the 1990 team where they had Eric Bieniemy at running back. This whole thing to me, all these stories, there's always something out of Boulder. It's always somebody bullying somebody, something to do with the Sanders kids, something to do with Deion. It's just like, honestly, I'm not that surprised. My bingo card for Colorado has been checked off 4 times for this offseason. So at this point, I was ready for them to go 3-8 and then call it a day.
They got 4-7 in them. They got 4-7 in them
now. Yeah, look, Colorado is a funny thing. That's another city if you've never been to Boulder. You're not missing a whole lot. Don't worry. Deion Sanders' ego is too big for Boulder. That's just what it is. If he's in Tuscaloosa, if he is in Tallahassee, if he is in Coral Gables, if he is in Columbus, Ohio, you name it. If he's in one of these places, none of this gets out. But Colorado has never been that team. There's been 2 years in their entire career where they've been that team. And Cordell Stewart was their quarterback. All right. They have not been that team with this high profile of anything in the history of Boulder, Colorado. And you talk what comes with Deion Sanders is money. Money talks. Players come to get money. And I feel like I'm talking about NIL every time I talk, but it's important in this situation because what comes with money is a sense of I don't care about anybody else. And so there are things that is pissing off locals that these kids are doing as well. I won't put it all on Deion, but it is 85% Deion. He's a father, right? But not a baby daddy or whatever they want to call him, whatever he wants to say it. If he's a father, he should care about these kids and actually care enough to put them in their place when they screw up and not do it through social media. And I think that's what gets missed is he's trying to coach through social media at times or try to educate through social media, and it doesn't come off well. And I think that's what gets lost in this conversation is his willingness to use social media, unlike a lot of other coaches, is up there, but he also doesn't do it right. He does it like a boomer would use social media where you need a millennial using social media to do this, and he's not that guy. So it becomes more and more of a shit show every time he starts talking because he tries to cover up for his previous mistakes, and then it gets worse and worse. As far as what the player said, yeah, again, where there's smoke, there's fire. I'm never going to disagree with that theory, but I don't think it's as bad as that player's making it out to be. Just because technically speaking in the NCAA, head coaches aren't allowed to have any contact with players for, I think it's like a 3-month stretch that this supposedly happened in, outside of his own sons. So if anybody's making him go, it's the team captains and not Deion, which is a whole different conversation. But I don't necessarily believe everything that player said. Plus, it came from Athlon Sports, who we talk about outlets you don't trust. That's probably a top 5 one you don't trust in sports. But yeah, it's still bad. Doesn't look good. But he's still going to be fine. I mean, they're going to still go 5-7. They'll be all right. I don't think this is going to be too bad through all things.
Yeah, Kelsey, you mentioned kind of Tuscaloosa, Coral Gables, Columbus, all those. Yeah, none of this would come out, but Deion would then be immediately fired if he went 4-8, 5-7. I don't think Colorado cares. Like as long as
they didn't have room to care.
As long as there's no criminal investigation, they're just counting their money. Like, oh, you lost again? Nah, that sucks. Well, you'll get them next time, Deion, and just keep counting. They don't care. People are talking about Colorado, win, lose, or whatever. And because they're not historically great, I mean, they've won a little bit a while ago, but because they're not historically great, they don't need to care. If this was Alabama, Ohio State, Miami, Georgia, Auburn, Tennessee, Oregon, or Washington, even at this point, this would be on the news every week. But because it's Colorado, nobody gives a shit.
I can see that, but I think it's worth noting he has improved the team on the field. Let's not forget that. They have improved in his time there. So technically speaking, he is doing his job compared to where they were. Obviously, we're not talking about they were a lot, but they have slightly improved, which is not saying a whole lot.
Yeah, the only place to go was up. Although it would have been hilarious if they went winless their first year with Deion at the helm. But we're talking about Deion being fired at some of these bigger name programs. Obviously, Jared's going to go last. He had to step away real quick. The first coach fired this year. I always think this is interesting because I always feel like whatever someone says ends up being wrong. But DJ, who do you think the first coach to go is?
Gosh, I was not ready to go first on this one now. Like I needed some thinking time, but
all right,
let's take a think.
Oh, got it. You know what? We're gonna go with. Is it Napier at Florida? Is that who's down in Florida? Napier.
Billy Napier.
Yep, Billy Napier.
Yeah, we're gonna go Billy Napier at Florida. Despite them having the toughest schedule out of anybody right now.
Absolutely brutal.
But they don't care in Florida.
It's fair. DJ, get your thinking time in.
I think I got one. I don't think it's going to happen, but I think there's a chance it could happen. I think Ryan Day could end up being the first one fired. Sorry, Jared. You leave, you lose.
I know.
If at any point they lose at any point they lose 2 games, I think he's out of there immediately. He's already on thin ice. They lose to Michigan. He's fired before they even walk off the field at this point. So I think he's on, which is crazy because they could arguably be considered one of the top 2 teams in the country right now, and yet he might have the hottest seat as far as major teams go.
They won't even give him the Joey Freshwater treatment. He's not good enough for that. They're going to give him the Herm Edwards treatment.
He gets left in the damn.
The Sarkisian treatment, even just kick him off the bus.
Well, they let him get to the bus at least. Herb, they met in the tunnel.
Doc, that's the crazy part. He didn't even get off the field, and they were already talking to him, and then it was like in the tunnel, and that's where he actually got fired. I was like, how do you do that to a coach on TV?
That's fair. Jared, first coach fired this season.
How about you go first, since I got both mine jacked just now? I'm trying to find a third option here because my one was Napier, 2 was Ryan Day, and I'm just like, all right, I got to think of something.
All right,
I can give you one.
No, I'll give mine. Mario Cristobal. Coaching comes down to how long someone's been there, expectations, and then reality. He's been there for a few years now. Miami for 2 years now has been hyped going into the year. This year I've seen guys 11, 12 wins, ACC champs, college football playoffs. If they're ranked 20 or under, he's gone immediately. If they're ranked 13 to 19, he's gone in the offseason. And if they're ranked 12 and get bounced in the first round of the playoffs, he's gone after that.
The only reason I disagree is because this is the most talented team he's ever had. So if he can't do it this, yes, he's gone. He will not be a coach in December.
No, this is the most talented team he's had since the last time they said that last offseason. Miami fans every year are overhyped. The fans will not accept mediocrity. That's the problem with Miami. They think they're back every year, and they cannot handle being mid, which Miami has been for the past 20 years. Their brains cannot handle it. They need to be dominant or so bad everyone's talking about them. Mediocre is not on the table. And especially because, buddy, you lost to Georgia Tech, Mario, because you refused to kneel the ball. That was a fireable offense. When it happened, if you don't turn it around soon, that is even worse.
This is it for Mario. I will agree that. I think the one guy who also could be is Billy brought up before. Iowa doesn't have a free pass to the Big Ten championship anymore. The 10 points a game ain't gonna fly. And so here's the kicker. You got 7 or 8 teams in this conference who could easily make a run, who actually can score points. And Iowa's not one of them. They're still one of the 8 best teams in the big whatever the hell it is at this point, Big 50. And yet they're probably one of the worst offenses I've ever seen. I watched 2 Iowa games last year. I fell asleep during both of them. It was awful. That being said, I think Ferentz is just as far up there because at some point it's like, do you guys grow offensive linemen on the trees? You have a good quarterback. You got to score, man.
And they got tight ends, too. They have another trio of tight ends that are probably going to be drafted in the next 2 years.
You can't get one 3-star guy from Coastal Carolina to transfer who can run a 4.2? Dang, like it's not hard to find guys who run a 4.3 in college anymore.
They found 2 NFL white cornerbacks before they found a competent quarterback at this point. That's at the same time.
Competent wide receiver.
They've had a couple of those. They just didn't last very long because they transferred to Wisconsin afterwards.
So everything you said is right, except for some reason Iowa really holds Ferentz in extremely high regard. So he might survive just off pure name because they love him there for some reason. Even the fact that they score 6.5 points per game. So everything you said is correct, but for some reason they love that guy so much.
I mean, about it. What about James Franklin? Anybody gonna like nip that one in the butt? Or
they're okay with their 12th in the AP poll and start the season and then end at 25th and then start it all over again next year. They're fine with that.
Look, as long as their defense coordinator stays away from the showers, people are safe.
How's the offensive line coach?
Challenge flag, yellow flag.
No, but
I do want to throw 2 out there. I want to get you guys' thoughts on it. And Kevin, with you, there's an obvious choice here, which is Kalen DeBoer. Because he is following in the steps of Nick Saban, do you think he might potentially be on a hot seat, or do you think there's actually enough confidence from the boosters to give him a year?
I think the AD's office, I think Sankey knows what it's going to be like. He's not like, well, we're going to go in and win every game this year by 30 points. I think Kalen DeBoer, especially, he's giving the right answers. He's talking very Saban-esque without trying to be Nick Saban. He's made changes to the program to kind of bring them up to speed. And I'm not saying they were falling behind under Saban, but he was a very old school kind of coach. DeBoer is not. He's very modern. But then he's giving similar answers like he was talking today. Like, what is success for your first year? He said, well, it's about the process. Wins and losses are important. Or I don't even know if he said wins, losses, but he's like, it's about the process, getting in the right guys, getting things set up appropriately. I don't think DeBoer is going to be on the hot seat this year. I think the rational Alabama fans, which are few and far between, if we're being honest, recognize that these past 17 years were a run of unprecedented success in college football. I think the boosters also recognize that. I think they're going to give DeBoer a little leeway. Not a lot, obviously. If they come out and they drop the first 3 games, all that leeway is going right out the window. But I do think that, I don't think we'll miss the college football playoffs this year with the expansion. But I think if we do, there will be less people outside of the athletic complex with pitchforks and torches. There will still be some, but there will be less.
They go like 4-8 or something. Then I think all that leeway you mentioned disappears real quickly if they end up falling.
Oh, if they go 4-8,
something dramatic like that.
If they go 4-8, buddy, I'm bringing the lighter fluid.
All right, never mind. Then the leeway is gone. Andy's fired. Then
if they go 4-8 but beat Auburn, I think it won't be as bad. But if they go and this is crazy, the part, if they go 6-6 and lose to Auburn, he's still probably fired in my eyes.
I'm not. Is it at Auburn this year?
No, this one's in Tuscaloosa.
Oh yeah, then yeah.
And he's gone.
Yeah.
I think I'm glad you said 6-6 and lose to Auburn, because if you said like 10-2 and lost to Auburn,
no.
That's one thing I don't understand about some of these programs. Like, well, yeah, we might have gone 3-9, but we beat our rival while they're playing for a national championship.
Oklahoma State, anybody?
What?
Mike Gundy's been living for years off that.
Yeah,
he's a man. He's 40 because of that.
It's
Damn,
insane.
he's 60 at this point.
I would say, what about the? There's another one out there. Another move away from the SEC for a second, but like jump to USC West. Lincoln Riley. He's supposed to be the all hope for this future Trojans program. Obviously, moving into the Big Ten now. I mean, if he rolls off a 2-game losing streak in the middle of the season, does he keep his job? Can he keep his job? I think is the question.
I think so. I think he's got at least a year or two leeway. Especially with Caleb Williams and leaving. I think they're going to give him a year or two with that. I think he's got a little bit of leeway because of that. But like you said, if you jump in the Big Ten and you go 4-8 yourself or something like that, then it's like, what are you doing, Lincoln? Like, what is this? Like, so I think it gets real thin real quick if they go bad. My opinion.
All right.
Sorry, those are the two I had questions on.
I think he'll really turn into no, we just lost our Heisman winning quarterback that we still dropped games you should have won on because we don't have a defense.
But you knew he was leaving, Lincoln. Go recruit somebody.
I didn't say it was smart. I just said that's what they're going to do.
Like, I just hate that. I hate that excuse. Like, oh, we lost our. It's like, he's leaving. It ain't like he was saying, oh, I might come back. Nah, he leaving.
No, he did say he might come back. He did say he might come back, though.
Yeah, but it's Caleb Williams is a nutcase and a half. I don't know. I never bought that he was coming back.
No. But no, look, there's so many teams that live off my Heisman's gone now type of situation.
The last Heisman winner played a total of 0 snaps in the NFL. So,
yeah, Auburn still sort of clings to the whole, Cam's gone now situation. Guys, we went to a national championship in between.
In high school when that happened.
Yeah. I'm an old man.
Yeah. Yeah, you're not that old. You're only, I don't even know how old you are, so I'm not going to guess.
I was there when that happened.
All right. Well, we were going to do the Week 0 games, but since Kelsey brought up at least 3 of our teams, you count his own, we're going to go around and talk about the outlook for our panel's teams. Jared, we're going to have you go first. What is like the high point? What is disaster scenario? And what do you actually expect?
All right. High point is we smoke Florida, which is still possible. We lose at least one Miami type game where we're just like, I'm like, what the hell did I just watch? AKA Georgia Tech last year. And we win the ACC and they get absolutely obliterated in the playoff at some point, either first or second round. That's the high point to me. If we go any farther than that, I'm like the Diamondbacks last year in October. I'm just partying until it's over. Realistically, ACC title game, if we win, great. I think we could beat any team in our conference. We beat most of them last year. We took Florida State to the last rung with Emory Williams, our third-string quarterback. They're not a good team. They just have a lot of transfer guys. Mike Norvell's a good coach, though. I will say this. Worst case scenario is we lose to Florida. Then we lose another game. And then we have like our usual end of season spiral. And Cam Ward gets hurt. Damian Martinez gets hurt. And Mario's fired. And we're sitting there like, well, this was a complete waste of our last 4 years. Let's try this again. So that's but I think the ceiling for them is first or second round in the college football playoff. They have the firepower to do it on offense. This is the best offense they've had since 2016 with Brad Kaya, Stacey Coley, and Ahmad Richards. And I believe Mark Walton and Travis Homer, if my memory corrects me on that one. But, and David Njoku. But Cedar Grove's finest shout out. But that's, I guess, listen, the fact they wanted to stay title in my mom's high school, I always got to throw them a shout out for that one.
I feel like I hear something about David Njoku every show when it gets around football season with you.
There's a crease, he bursts through it like the Kool-Aid man. If there's a hole, he will make it happen. Anytime.
So that's my expectation. Listen, I would love for us to go on some Herculean run. We don't have the defense for it. We're a year away on defense. All of our guys are young except for Malinoa and Bain. Bain's a sophomore. But we have a bunch of unproven guys. We have a great recruiting class coming in next year, this year, and the year after that. Our defense is catching up with our offense. The transfer portal made our offense elite. Our third best running back would be a starter on 8 or 9 of the ACC teams. That'd be A.J. Allen. But other than that, yeah, it's all positive for Miami. But this is basically like, hey, Mario, you got to make it to the ACC title game or you're cut, dude. You're done. That's the bare minimum.
And don't be afraid to kneel the ball out. It's okay.
Yes, please, for the love of God, win by 1. I don't care. Just make the damn game. Seriously.
It's called victory formation. There's no shame.
You should get a tattoo in his freaking hand.
I'll tattoo it for him if he does it.
I mean, it's not hard. You just hold your hand like this. You'll be fine.
Live long and prosper.
There's your nerd football for a moment, guys.
I'm a Star Wars fan personally, but I understand that reference.
This is the way.
All right, DJ.
All right, so we're going to go with Oklahoma, not despite the Texas A&M shirt right now. Unfortunately for them, their first year in the SEC, and they get a smorgasbord of death right after October 12th. They get the luxury of not only getting to play Texas, number 4. They get Ole Miss, top 10, Missouri, 11, and Alabama, and then LSU. So welcome to the SEC. You get exactly what you asked for. So optimistic perspective, maybe 10-3, but that required Jackson Arnold to come out like a Heisman Trophy caliber quarterback. Defensively, it kind of like Jared was talking about, the best offense for Miami since like 2016. Oklahoma's defense might be the best they've had since like 2016 because their defense has been terrible since then. I think they have one of the best secondaries in the country. However, offensively, the offensive line's weak. The receivers aren't as strong. We're going to say realistically closer to 8 wins. After that October 12th to the end rush is just miserable. So I think they're going to draw quite a few there. But positive situation, 10-3, they get into the back end of the playoff. More realistically, they're probably missing the playoff, but they'll be annoying and probably knock off one of those teams just to ruin their chances a little bit. But it's a long uphill battle, and you lost Dylan Gabriel to Oregon, so you have a new signal caller too on top of everything. It's rough sledding. My expectations are low to mid at this point.
I don't know how to feel when you didn't even give Auburn a little bit of like maybe they'll beat Oklahoma. No,
well they didn't have a number next to their name, so
that's fair. That's fair. I
probably beat them too. For being, but
it's fair. No, for Auburn, it's. I mean, look, I just said Oklahoma, Arkansas, Georgia, Mizzou, Kentucky, A&M, maybe Bama. Those are all question marks, right? For Auburn, and if they can win half of those, I feel pretty good. But honestly, best case scenario, 9, worst case scenario, 5-7. Don't even make the playoff, or don't even make a bowl game. Most likely scenario, 7-5. Blowing one to OU, blowing one to Georgia, Missouri, probably Kentucky and Bama. Those are probably their most likely 5 losses, and that just sucks. But yeah, I don't know. Peyton Thorne should be good. This defense should be good. The receivers, Cam Coleman, should be amazing. Darquez Hunter should be great, but the offensive line still sucks. And that's Auburn's big problem. And there's not as strong of a defensive line, losing Harris and another defensive lineman to the draft. So that's never going to help. And they lost another corner to the league. So, I don't know. It's a tough one for Auburn, but I maybe hopeful for a winning season, but not. It's going to be 50-50 for me.
I'm actually kind of surprised. Like it's shocking that Auburn managed to get another quarterback named Peyton Thorne. Because if he should be good, you're not talking about the same guy from last year.
He's going to run the ball more. That's the thing. Peyton Thorne running the ball is an unknown quantity in the SEC, but him at Michigan State running the ball, if nobody's seen him, dude ran over dudes in the Big Ten.
I was wondering where I knew that came from. I was like, oh, MSU. Got it.
Yeah, he was the reason Keon Coleman went to Florida State and was a big name going to Florida State. Let's not forget that. The guy knows how to throw the ball up to guys that can go get it, so Cam Coleman fits him pretty well. But yeah, there's still questions, obviously, in his arm. I don't know if he's the best arm talent on that team. I think he's probably second or third best in that quarterback room. And I don't think it's going to change right now, but I don't, next year will be better for Auburn, hopefully.
That's fair. For Alabama this year, I think high point, the standard is the standard still, 15-0 national championship. I don't think that's super realistic. I do think they'll probably drop one game. I think
one game.
I don't see a disaster scenario coming, but I think the low point is going to be 8-4.
God, I'm
after
waiting for what the hell?
I think going through their schedule, Western Kentucky win, USF win. Yeah, they played us tight last year. We were playing fucking Tyler Buckner at quarterback. I probably shouldn't have used an F-bomb, but Tyler Buckner does that to me. Wisconsin, I think, could be tough, but I think we win. It's Wisconsin still. Georgia, I'm counting them as one of the losses in this low point. Vanderbilt, if we lose to Vanderbilt, I will legitimately kill myself. So that's not happening. South Carolina, Beaver Ball's dead. That's a win. I'm counting Tennessee as a potential loss in this scenario. Missouri, we win. LSU at Baton Rouge, we win. They call it Bryant-Denny West for a reason. Mercer, that's a win. At Oklahoma, loss. Auburn at Tuscaloosa. This is the disaster scenario because I'll give that as a loss in this 8-4 scenario.
You talk about Bryant-Denny West being Baton Rouge during the day for you guys. Bryant-Denny is Jordan Hurwest, given the history since they've moved away from Birmingham. So it wouldn't be that'd be the least surprising thing, but it'd also be very surprising to me.
Yeah, I don't anticipate that happening. I think the most realistic, also, by the way, Alabama is 29-10-2 in Baton Rouge. So I don't think we're going to compare Auburn at Bryant-Denny to Alabama in Death Valley.
I don't know, man.
No, I'm going to roll the Alabama numbers in this one. Kevin,
Alabama has more wins in Baton Rouge, I think, than LSU has, like, in the history.
Oh, that wouldn't surprise me.
It's insane. Let's just confirm that to make sure I'm not just.
It was a bigger gap than I have ever expected. Alabama, Auburn.
LSU is 27 wins. Alabama has 56, 29 of which coming in at Baton Rouge. So more wins on the road than LSU has total. Most likely scenario, though, I'm going to go 12-2. I think not 12-2, 10-2. Excuse me. Lost to Georgia and then Tennessee or Auburn. I think it's probably going to be Tennessee. Maybe LSU. They sometimes win at home, but I think Georgia will be a loss and someone else. I don't think it's going to be Missouri. I do not respect them. They should not be in the SEC.
Do a good receiver.
That's fine. You know what? No, we're going to go 11-1. That's my official prediction.
So conservative.
Look, you saw what the numbers Jalen Milroe put up last year, and that's with an offensive coordinator who wanted to start Tyler Buckner and didn't know how to use him. Oh, our mobile quarterback, we should design some runs for him? What is that plan? No, we'll throw the ball. They won't expect it coming. So I'm going 11-1.
By the way, Auburn is 7-4 in Tuscaloosa, so I feel like it's a great year to make it 8-4. Just saying.
I don't believe you.
That's the record.
I don't believe you that they were 7-2 before I got to college.
They're 7-4 in Tuscaloosa. Because you got to remember, this game was played in Birmingham until like the early 2000s, like late 90s, early 2000s.
No, I agree. I know.
But flip that record. I think it's like 5-7 or 5 and something like that at Auburn. For like if you flip it, like Tuscaloosa has won or Alabama has won like 7 games at Auburn as well, I believe. So I think it's like almost a split win-win situation.
I think they have 5 in Auburn based on my count. Oh, wow. Nope, never mind. Alabama victories, 34 in Birmingham, 7 in Auburn, 7 in Tuscaloosa, 2 in Montgomery. Auburn victories, 18 in Birmingham, 10 in Auburn, 7 in Tuscaloosa, and 2 in Montgomery.
Yep.
So there's 7-7 in Tuscaloosa.
There it is.
So I'll take a 5.
My stats are wrong. Yeah, my stats are wrong.
Well, 2 of those games in Tuscaloosa came before World War One.
Oh yeah, no, we're talking modern era. So Bryant-Denny. Yeah, Bryant-Denny specifically.
I'm like 99% sure Bryant-Denny was technically around then.
Was it? I thought they were named after the coach from the 50s.
Oh, no, they named it after the guy. No, never mind. 1929 is when it was built.
Never mind. Have fun with that.
Yeah.
Explains why I don't enjoy that stadium at all.
Well, they've updated it.
Oh, they have. It's great now. Still, don't enjoy it. I feel like I'm on a voodoo mountain.
You feel like you're on a voodoo mountain?
Yes.
The Auburn fan is going to complain about voodoo.
Yes. Because it didn't go my way. Actually, it did go. The year I was there, it did go my way. But that's not the point.
All right, let's actually talk about this upcoming season and not all the fun stuff. Week 0, guys. Some people hate it. Some people love it. I have compared it to foreplay, saying it's not the best, but it's necessary. It's a little taste of what's to come. What are you guys most looking forward to in week 0?
A possible Florida State upset. Also a game in Dublin, so that's going to be fun.
The Aer Lingus Classic.
Wait, no, they did not get the sponsorship for it, did they?
Aer Lingus, they have for a while.
I missed that.
Yeah, it's played at Aviva Stadium, which is
beautiful stadium, by the way.
Which is huge. Not the largest stadium in Ireland.
Not even the largest stadium in Dublin.
Yeah, no, because the largest stadium is in Ireland is also in Dublin.
Yeah, it's Croke Park, or however you pronounce it.
Croke Park. Third largest stadium in Europe, which is insane to me.
Yeah. But no, week 0, man. I think I'm actually with Jared, believe it or not. I think Florida State could be on upset alert. I do think that's what I'm looking forward to, is seeing an actual game again and seeing Florida State in week 0 potentially blow it again.
That's fair.
No. Go, sorry.
I was going to ask DJ if he had any thoughts, but
I didn't mean to say it.
So I'm in the same boat. That's obviously the main one to look out for. Also, point out Montana State versus New Mexico is a very fun one. FCS versus Division I type schools like that. Those are always very interesting matchups early in the year, especially when it's not a high-ranking Division I school. When it's a lower-ranking one like that, those matchups are always very interesting. So.
That's true. I'm excited to see the school making the farthest trip for their week 0 game. No, not Florida State going to Dublin or Georgia Tech going to Dublin. It's Delaware State going to Hawaii, a whole 800 miles further away than the East Coast to Dublin. I'm excited for that game because I'll be getting drunk at a zoo all day, and watching a FCS school play Hawaii is going to be awesome at 11:59.
Rainbow Warriors.
I think they're even wearing their white throwback helmets for that one too.
Oh,
please!
I'm watching that. I'm making my fiance watch it with me. At 11:59.
Poor Kelsey.
She's gonna not be a fan. It's fine. I got her to admit she misses college football, which she didn't care about college football before we started dating. So, counting it as a win.
Yeah. By the way, DJ, you gave me flashbacks to last season losing a New Mexico team. You said New Mexico, and I'm instantly like, great, scouting report time.
Just pouring a little salt on it. Don't mind me.
Yeah, at least it's the Lobos.
Yeah, but that's who Auburn plays this year, the Lobos.
Oh, the rip. Well, so we can get Kelsey off of his Vietnam flashbacks to the Aggies. We're going to go over our conference championship picks. And, though, to help everyone out, that can go away. I have last year's records and their additions on this handy-dandy graphic in front of you. So we're going to do the ACC first. Obviously, you had Florida State winning that conference last year at 13-1. Then Louisville in second at 10-4. NC State at 9-4. Georgia Tech at 7-6. Virginia Tech 7-6. Clemson went 9-4, but only 4-4 in conference. Duke 8-5, 4-4 in conference. UNC the same. The U 7-6, 3-5 in conference. I'm putting this out on a podcast after, so that's why I'm actually reading these. Boston College 7-6, 3-5. Q 6-7, 2-6. Pitt 3-9, 2-6. Virginia 3-9, 2-6. And Wake Forest 4-8, 1-7. The ACC has added Cal, who went 6-7 and 4-5 in the Pac-12. Stanford, who went 3-9 and 2-7, and then the SMU, who was in the American, 11-3 and 8-0 in conference. Kelsey, who you got winning the ACC?
Oh, we're going with SMU. I'm just kidding. I'm not actually going to do it. But, man, I really want to. No, I'm going to go with maybe a surprise, but probably not. NC State, I think, is my winner for the ACC.
I don't hate that pick, DJ.
Well, as a Pac-12 stan and homer for life, I'd love to pick Cal or Stanford, but I can't take good consciousness, so I'm going to take the second best thing as much as it pains me. I'm going to say Miami takes the ACC because I like Cam Ward at quarterback, former Washington State Pac-12 quarterback, so I'm going to tie it into the Pac-12 any way I can. So I do like what they have offensive, and I think Cam Ward's going to be dynamic.
Jared, do I have to ask you?
Well, no. I literally had Florida State until about maybe a month ago. And then I've been paying attention to Miami practice stuff. And also I started thinking about it. Like, this is the best offense Miami's had since maybe past 2016. We're going all the way back to Ja'Cory Harris days, which wasn't much of a step up. But I will say this, like you said before, Kev, this is Mario's put up or shut up year. Why not aim for the sky? I mean, none of the teams in this conference scare me. It's not like where there was like the dominant Clemson or Florida State team. Everyone's kind of has a notch in their armor to exploit. So why not Miami? First ACC title in this conference.
That's part of me wants to just take SMU to shock the world, especially because I kind of talked shit about them when you were talking about the ACC earlier. But they did lose to Boston College in the Fenway Bowl. Now, that was Boston College's backyard. Not the same town, because Boston College famously is not in Boston. It is in Chestnut Hill / Newton. But I'm going to do it. I think SMU is going to shock the world, come into the ACC. It is not a strong conference. I think Florida State's going to fall off. And I think it'll be SMU, just because chaos.
I'm here for it.
Next up, the Big 12. Texas and Oklahoma obviously have left, so they're in orange here. I don't know why I just did that for this one and none of the others, but I think I didn't do a Pac-12 one, and they're who lost all their teams. So Big 12 last year, Texas went 12-2, 8-1 in conference. Oklahoma State 10-4, 7-2. Oklahoma 10-3, 7-2. That looks wrong. West Virginia 9-4, 6-3 in conference. Iowa State 7-6, 6-3. Kansas State 9-4, but 6-3 in conference. Texas Tech 7-6, 5-4 in conference. Kansas 9-6, 5-4. UCF 6-7, 3-6. TCU 5-7, 3-6. BYU 5-7, 2-7. Baylor 3-9, 2-7. Son of a bitch. This stupid slide thing. Houston 4-8, 2-7. Cincinnati 3-9, 1-8. Additions were Colorado, who went 4-8 and 1-8 in the Pac-12. Arizona, who went 10-3, 7-2 over or in conference. Arizona State 3-9, 2-7, and Utah 8-5, 5-4. Jared, who you got winning the Big 12?
Give me the Utes. Year 12 for Cam Rising. Listen, Utah is probably the most ready out of all these teams to join the Big 12. You know what you're getting on their defense with Kyle Whittingham. He's always had a good defensive team, regardless of whatever he puts on offense. I also am a big Dejon Staley fan, not just because of NCAA and the fact he's absolutely broken on stretch runs, but I'm kind of a fan of this Utah Utes team. Now, do I think they're going to do any damage to the playoffs? Absolutely not. Do I think that if Cam Rising stays healthy, they can win this conference? Absolutely. There is not a stalwart team in this conference. Yes, Ollie Gordon in Oklahoma State is a fun story, but I don't trust anything else in Oklahoma State's offense besides Ollie Gordon. So we saw what happened when they had Chubb Hubbard, when they had the All-Pro the All-American running back, and then had nothing else. Kind of the same situation here. So give me Utah to win this in the first round of the conference.
All right, DJ.
As much as I do love the Utes and want to keep my Pac-12 tradition going, they do have a knack for beating the piss out of the West Coast teams. And they don't have as many of those to choose from now. So I'm going to go with Oklahoma State and Ollie Gordon. I think it's just everyone in the conference is really close together. So I'm just going to go with the one that's currently at the top. I'll take Oklahoma State.
Kelsey?
Yeah, I'm not going Oklahoma State, but I am sticking with a Big 12 team by heart. I'm going with Kansas, and I've been beating this train for 2-3 years now. Jalen Daniels is finally going to be healthy and playing. Oh, and by the way, they had the actual best statistical running back in the Big 12 last year in Devin Neal, who will continue his success this year. So give me Kansas.
I like that pick.
I think I'm going to have to agree with DJ. I'm going to go with Oklahoma State. I feel like they're always kind of that second team. They're always sniffing around the Big 12 championship. And now that there's that power vacuum with Texas and Oklahoma gone, I like Oklahoma State's chances. I think Mike Gundy's a phenomenal coach. I don't think he gets a recognition on the national stage as much as some of these other guys. But I think he's a good coach, even though he likes having a few drinky drinks before driving home. Big Ten standings. Last year, obviously, Michigan national champions. On the East, went 15-0, 9-0 in conference. The 11-2, 8-1 in conference. Maryland, DJ, if you like that one, you're gonna love the SEC ones. Penn State 10-3, 7-2. Maryland 8-5, 4-5. Rutgers 7-6, 3-6. Michigan State 4-8, 2-7. Indiana 3-9, 1-8. Iowa in the West went 10-4, 7-2. Northwestern went 8-5, 5-4. Wisco went 7-6, 5-4. Corn, aka Nebraska, 5-7, 3-6 in conference. Purdue 4-8, 3-6. Minnesota 6-7, 3-6. Illinois 5-7, 3-6. Added Oregon, who went 12-2, 8-1. Washington, who went 14-1, 9-0. UCLA, who went 8-5, 4-5, maybe. This slide thing's blocking me. And USC went 8-5, 5-4. Kelsey, who you got?
Yeah, we're going to go with Oregon. Everybody's going to be still focused on Ohio State and Michigan being the top two dogs. I think Oregon's going to sneak in there. I do think Dylan Gabriel is the best quarterback in college football this year. And that's not saying much because I have Cam Ward right behind him. Don't worry down there, Jared. I do think Cam Ward is really good. I just don't think he's there. It's certainly not Carson Beck, who was named first-team All-American today. That's for sure. But, yeah, give me Oregon, Dylan Gabriel. This team's ready to do something, and Dan Lanning's going to be trying to take some heads off at some point in time this season.
Playing for wins, not clicks. I also agree. I am taking Oregon. I wanted to take the most annoying fan base in college football, but I have a brain on my shoulders. I was never the biggest fan of Will Howard at Kansas State. I was like, yeah, he's got talent, but I'm not like, wow. I do love Keyshawn Jenkins, though. That's beside the point. But I also think Ryan Day is like the equivalent of a coach where you give the guy a Lamborghini and tell him not to crash it, and he's dinged it a few times. No Jimmy Harbaugh anymore. You still got now Oregon, Washington, and a bunch of other teams in UCLA, USC, just to add more fun to the fire. You can't beat Iowa in the championship anymore there, Ryan. You got to actually beat a real squad. Give me Oregon. I really like Dylan Gabriel as well. I think he's going to be a phenomenal quarterback for years to come.
Don't forget the year they played Northwestern.
I'm not going to talk about that year. We actually had one of our co-hosts was actually on that team. Oh. Shout out to our boy Grayson.
Poor guy.
Much as I like Oregon and I think they're awesome, I do think as good as Dylan Gabriel is too, I think they're going to miss Bo Nix a little bit. I think he was a lot better than he gets credit for. And I know it's up and down, especially the person above me coined the phrase, the Bo Nix experience. His 2 years in Oregon, he was really awesome. I think they're going to miss that a little bit. So I think they're going to miss out just this year. I'm going to go with I think they have arguably the best roster despite the incompetence at head coach. I do think Will Howard in this offense will be able to get him and Judkins in the backfield. It's going to make a lot of plays happen. Offensive line stabilized. Last year, they were within Kyle McCord throwing 2 questionable interceptions of beating Michigan. They were right there with the best of them. And so I think they're right there with everybody else. They're 59-8 under Ryan Day, despite his tomfoolery. They're always right in the thick of it. So I'm going to go with I think they'll take the Big 10/25/ however many teams are this year.
Can I thank all of you for not calling it the?
That's because I have a comprehensive understanding of the English language beyond a second grade level.
I needed to say it out loud.
I may be illiterate, but I know how to speak correctly.
I may not say, I know how to talk good now.
As somebody who lives and works in Ohio, it drives me crazy every time I hear somebody say the, and I'm like, no, it's the.
My SC LSU education got me to understand
walking through Canton and seeing all those stupid red jerseys, I'm like, oh my God, I feel my IQ dropping.
It's ridiculous. I got Iowa. I think they finally shed the Nepo hires, and they have earned a chance to win. That defense is phenomenal. It's a white boy summer, and that corner is going to make it a white boy fall too. Give me the fighting Forenses.
All 15 points a game. Let's go.
Hey.
I mean, look, I saw
I'm
Cade
looking at
McNamara miss some wide open throws recently. So you know what? If he can hit them, I guess sure.
Hey, listen, we're
Okay,
not
so
doing
he's
Riola
Bo
in the
Nix.
Cornhusker in the corn.
So he's
children
Bo
of
Nix
the
without the
corn.
child support payments. Like, I don't see the difference there. Moving on, allegedly with the child support payments. Sorry.
So much Bo Nix slander.
All right, SEC standings. Last year in the East, Bama went 12-2, 8-0 in conference. Ole Miss 11-2, 6. Kelsey's laughing at something. I don't know what. Ole Miss 11-2, 6-2 in conference. LSU 10-3, 6-2 in conference. TAMU 7-6, 4-4 in conference. Auburn 6-7, 3-5. Miss State 5-7, 1-7. Rip Mike Leach. Arkansas 4-8, 1-7. And in the West, you got the Dogs at 13-1, 8-0 in conference. Mizzou 11-2, 6-2. Tennessee 9-4, 4-4 in conference. You got the Cox 5-7, 3-5 in conference. Florida 5-7, 3-5. Kentucky 7-6, 3-5. And then school, because Vanderbilt is only there to bring up the average GPA, 2-10, 0-8 in conference additions from the Big 12. Texas with 12-2, 8-1 in conference. Oklahoma 10-3, 7-2. Kelsey, who you got?
Definitely not the school
We don't come here to play school.
or USC
They do.
East. They play baseball too. I'll give them that. I'm gonna go with a surprise pick here. Maybe.
Cox, right?
No. We're gonna go Lane Train. We're going Ole Miss. The Land Sharks or the Rebel Black Bears, whatever you want to call them.
8 mascots, 0 SEC titles in the last 10 years. Woo-hoo!
Hey, Alabama could put a good quarterback into the league in over 50 years until Lane Train rolled through. That's all I'm saying.
Freddie Kitchens was not a good coach. DJ, who you got in the SEC?
Let's see. Well, I'm not going to pick School or Cox, so that rules those ones out. I think Mizzou, outside of Luther Burton's, a little bit overrated. I think they're even known because Luther Burton's broken in college football. The Dogs, I refuse to give it to them because they can't keep getting away with getting arrested. I think Beck's a little bit too highly rated. I think Alabama's going to take a step back this year. Just new coach, it's bound to happen. Ole Miss, really awesome. I just can't pick them. So I'm going to go with Texas A&M. I think they have a loaded defense. I think they have a very good roster. And I think offensively they're going to be really, really good as well. I do think, Connor Wigman at quarterback is going to be a surprise this year. I think by the end of the year, he's going to be in contention for a first-round pick. So I'll take Texas A&M to surprise the SEC this year. Texas lost too much in Oklahoma. I'm not putting myself through that again. I know better.
Jared, I don't care about your picks. Who's Ghost got in the SEC?
Ghost, what you got? See, he's all pissed off because you didn't take the ripe opportunity of replacing TAMU with Timu. Come on, Kevin, you got things straight.
I could have also called them traitors because they sold nuclear secrets to Kuwait, I think it was. So that's fun.
Well, come on, they're the Timu version of an SEC school. Come on.
I was expecting Kentucky to be the Cats, if we're being honest.
I was going to put Auburn as that Cal college from across the state, but it didn't fit. So I was just fine there.
Okay. Ghost is sticking with the tried and true formula of Roll Tide. I don't think they're going to win anything. I think the Carson Beck hype train is way out of control. Yeah, I'm not a Carson Beck. To me is kind of like he does everything okay, but I haven't seen anything where I'm like, wow. And also, I think Bama just could be. If we're talking just strictly the championship game win, I think the Dogs beat them regular season. But will they play regular season this year?
Alabama and Georgia?
Yeah,
week 4.
Okay, yeah. I think Dogs beat them regular season, but Bama catches them with a right hook in the championship game. Ain't broke, don't fix it. DeBoer, Saban, don't matter.
Sure,
See, I love Jalen Milroe. That's literally 80% of this pick. I think he's going to be the Heisman winner this year.
But Kirby Smart has 0 losses to active head coaches since 2018 because Georgia fans decided to put out a graphic that's almost as bad as the Penn State has won. A Penn State player has played in every Super Bowl except 10. But it's fine. I hate doing this, but I agree with Jared. I think it's business as usual for Alabama still. I think you saw what Jalen Milroe could do when he had an offense coordinator who didn't want to play him and didn't know how to play him. His offense coordinator wanted to play a lacrosse attacker or a wide receiver at quarterback instead of, the actual quarterback you have on your roster. I think once they kind of figured that out, it worked a lot better. So, yeah, give me Bama. And then coming out of I just realized I've East and West flipped on this. I'm so stupid.
I wasn't going to say anything.
No, it's fair. It's fine. I did like all of these last night after 8 o'clock. It doesn't matter who comes out of the East. It's Bama.
I will say if anybody's coming out of the East, it's going to be Mizzou that comes out of the East, almost guaranteed. Just because I think everybody's in agreement here. Carson Beck is just Jake Fromm reincarnated.
Thank you.
A little bit faster, Jake Fromm.
Hey,
Feels like DJU attempted a few years ago. Just a little bit too much hype too early is going to come and disappoint.
The difference is there's no superstar wide receiver or tight end for Carson Beck that was there for Jake Fromm.
Like the main road in my town that collapsed, there's not a solid foundation underneath Carson Beck.
Yeah, they're too busy.
If anybody don't realize the joke, my town was on the national news for biblical level flooding.
Nice. Now let's get this graphic off the screen because I've messed up. Heisman odds. This is just some of them. I did not pull all of them. We're going to be talking Heisman Trophy. Dylan Gabriel is the best odds at plus 700. Carson Beck at plus 750. The hype train is rolling down the tracks. Probably going to get derailed soon. Quinn Ewers at plus 1,000. Jalen Milroe also plus 1,000. Jackson Dart at plus 1,200. Shadur Sanders at plus 3,000. And Travis Hunter, the only non-quarterback on the list, at plus 5,000. That's also not just this list. Like I looked through the list. He was the only non-quarterback who was on the Heisman odds. Jared, who you said Jalen Milroe. Anyone else you think we should keep an eye on for the Heisman Trophy?
I have 3. So Milroe obviously is number 1 to me. 2 is Dylan Gabriel. And 3, I'm a big Jackson Dart fan. I love the way that kid throws the football. I love that Shadur Sanders is on here because he's not going to be even in the top 15 once the season's over. That man's going to tank his draft stock harder than Johnny Manziel by the time the season's over. I am not a Shadur Sanders fan. I think he's just Darren Thomas at a better college, better exposure. Travis Hunter I could see being a fun one, but I'm not a Shadur Sanders fan whatsoever. I do love the way Jackson Dart handles himself in the pocket, throws the football. Obviously, my thoughts on Jalen Milroe are well documented about the absolute lunatically level rant I had after that 4th and 20, whatever it was, against Auburn. And Dylan Gabriel is just a surgeon throwing the football. So you can't go wrong with all 3. I'm not the biggest Ewers guy. I think he's just ready to go pro at this point. So Texas is going to have a great season. They're probably going to finish 2nd or 3rd in the SEC. But they also have a great team around him. But they're not going to – I don't know. Just something about Ewers this year doesn't feel right to me for Heisman. But do love Gabriel, Milroe, and Dart.
DJ, and also, by the way, they can be someone not on this list. I just picked some guys.
Well, since Jared named half the guys on the list during his little diatribe, so it kind of takes it. I'll just keep mine quick. I do think the fact that Ollie Gordon's not on there at all, even at plus 5,000, is kind of crazy. I know you only picked a few guys from here, but I'm saying like on the entire list.
He wasn't on the list either.
Exactly. That's crazy, man. He doesn't even get hey, you have a shot in hell. Like you gave, I digress here, but I'm going to go off the board just because Jared already took the one I had on the board. So I'm going to go back to the Connor Wigman from A&M. I think in the short amount of time he played last year, his PFF grade was on par with Jaden Daniels. I think he's an elite talent at quarterback. And if he can stay healthy, and if they do actually win the SEC, like I said, they do, I think that's going to require him to be awesome. So I do think he's only played a little bit. He's looked very good in that short amount of time. So we're going to take the plus 2 million odds with Connor Wigman and see if I can retire after that.
I'm going to roll with the odds on Mr. Damian Martinez. I think it's like plus 850.
That means if I'm actually betting money, I'm taking Jackson Dart, but Jared already took that one from me, so I had to go on a tangent.
He asked if I had other ones.
You took all of them.
Yeah, Jared took the option X, which was all of the above. It feels like he was trying to pick his college team all over again and ends up with 2 teams that are rivals in the ACC.
Here we go.
I digress.
That's not wrong.
Yeah, exactly. Thank you. Look, I think Dylan Gabriel was my obvious pick earlier, but because Jared said it already and he took my backup pick when I said Ole Miss will be the champions of the SEC and Jackson Dart, that's going to be a requirement for Ole Miss to win. So I'm like, DJ, I'm going to go off the board here. And I'm going to mention another guy I mentioned when I was talking with champions in another division, and that is Kansas own, Lawrence, Kansas own, Devin Neal, running back, who, by the way, is not even the first Devin Neal that pops up when you Google him. It's actually a DB from Louisville that pops up when you first search Devin Neal, despite this man being the best running back in the Big 12 last year. Give me Devin Neal out of the Big 12, out of Kansas. Straight shot across the bow to Ollie Gordon, by the way.
The disrespect of Ollie Gordon, I'm going to ignore right now.
I'm sorry, but you can't statistically be the best running back when you're not statistically the best running back in the division.
Oh, I just go strictly on tape. I don't give a crap about stats.
You've never watched Devin Neal run.
I watched 3 Kansas games last year. They went 2-1 at them.
You missed all the good Devin Neal then.
As a note, by the way, some other places do have Silas Bolden with plus 3,300, so above that plus 5,000 for Travis Hunter. Wide receiver out of Texas.
Oh, that's right.
I think that's my only problem with Quinn Ewers on this list, and I'm sorry if I'm taking your pick, Kevin. But yeah, my only problem with Quinn Ewers is his entire receiving core really left to the league last year, and his number one running back. So that makes it a little bit harder to be the best quarterback when you lose all your weapons.
Don't they have another 4-star this year running back for Texas, though?
Oh, it's Texas.
I thought there was some kid who was really nasty who was replacing Brooks.
They wish they were running back you, but they just put good running backs in college that don't pan out.
Shout out Jamal Charleston, one actually panned out.
All right,
Ricky Williams.
Pre-Ricky. Okay, sorry.
I think everyone's kind of talked about guys that are worth talking about right now. If I were to say anyone else, it would just be to be different and have a hot take. I do like Jalen Milroe just because I think Kalen DeBoer will have a better idea of how to use him. I think he'll do well. Although I think if DJ Uiagalelei can keep Florida State level, because Jared, stop shaking your head. No, you can't even pronounce the kid's name.
I don't need to.
I'm more impressed every time I hear Kevin say his name. I'll be honest.
Thank you, Tua, for playing at Alabama, or else I would have no shot at this. But because a lot of people are predicting the Florida State downfall, I know ACC preseason media poll had them as the clear-cut favorite, but a lot of people are saying, well, no, they're going to lose. They spent all their offseason crying about the college football playoffs, blah, blah, blah. I think if you can keep them consistent, get them in, if he can win them an ACC championship, I think he'll be in New York. And yeah, I think Travis Hunter at the end of the day is going to be their token defensive player because they can also just say he's a wide receiver too. And yeah, I don't think I like the Ollie Gordon pick too. I was going to talk about him, but DJ beat me to it.
Blame Jared.
So,
by the way, shout out an underrated pick here that's not on this that is a quarterback, Noah Fafita out of Arizona.
I was waiting for somebody to bring him up today because I saw Arizona. Nobody talked about Arizona in the Pac-12 preview. Or sorry, Big 12 preview now.
One of the sports books has him at plus 3,000 odds, which is 14th best to win the Heisman.
I mean, he was nasty last year, so
he's the reason they finished 9-3 or whatever.
Exactly. That's why I was really surprised nobody brought up Arizona.
Or sorry,
at all in Big 12.
10-3. Yeah, I figured I'd mention it.
Why does Arch Manning have Heisman odds for this year?
Because his last name is Manning.
Same reason he's the 83 overall in college football.
87.
That's true.
Sorry, 87.
Same reason Bronny James is 68 overall in 2K.
Same reason he's in 2K.
Look, Bronny is what happens when you take a 2K My Player and just say, I don't care about putting stats on there.
He's wearing a brown shirt. He's wearing a brown shirt in 2K in My Player.
All right.
Those guys are scary on the yard though.
Last topic. 2024 national champs. Georgia at plus 300. At plus 325. I don't know what happened there. An annoyed Ohio State fan must have gotten their hands on my laptop that I didn't include the. Texas plus 775. Oregon plus 800. Alabama plus 1,500. Ole Miss plus 1,500. LSU plus 1,700. Penn State plus 2,000. Notre Dame plus 2,000. Michigan plus 2,500. And the U at plus 5,000.
Woo! Long shot.
Kelsey, we're gonna have Jared go last this time. Kelsey, who do you like as your national championship matchup and win?
As my matchup, okay, that's a little different than what I was thinking. All right, we'll go Ole Miss and Oregon as my matchup. And I'm gonna say Ole Miss gets it, and it's a little shot to Judkins, who's now at the or the, if you will. And he's not going to be a part of this Ole Miss victory. But yeah, I think if I'm picking Ole Miss to win the SEC, I think they're coming out as probably a 12-0 team when it gets to that point. And they're going to be darn near unbeatable at that if they win the SEC championship, get to 13-0. So good luck to whoever has to face them. I think Oregon gets out of the Big Ten with a couple losses, but I think they're going to still beat that sled. But yeah, I think it's Ole Miss at the end of the day, complete team. Oregon, there's still some missing pieces. So give me Ole Miss to beat Oregon in the national championship game.
DJ?
I like Ole Miss getting there, so I also have them there. I have them playing, even though I don't support vandalism or disrespect to the English language, I do think the is going to get there to take on Ole Miss. I think the is a complete team, so I'm going to say the finally finds a way to get it done. I think if Ryan Day doesn't get it done, he's going to be in the unemployment line really quickly, so I think he finds a way to prolong his job just a few more years, like what Jim Harbaugh did when he first beat Ohio State a few years ago. Just enough to elongate it.
God, I hope not.
For your sake, I hope not. But like,
Jared, who you got?
The most annoying team in the Midwest is going to finish second in the Big 12, Big 10, obviously. They are my biggest nominee for the best upset of the playoff. I have them losing to a Group of 5 school. Just want to put that out there. I have Texas losing to Oregon. I think this is the Nike Uniform Bowl. I think it's going to be electric between Ewers and Gabriel. Rematch the Red River Shootout from last year, except in different uniform. I am a big Dan Lanning fan. Okay, that Oregon video after Colorado made me a fan of his. I like him a lot more than my coach. I also think Texas is a very good roster. Quinn Ewers has been taking bullets since 2021, I believe now. I don't care about the fact he lost 2 pro receivers and a running back. Texas manufactures good receivers, at least for college. I like Texas here to lose to Oregon because I think Oregon lost the least amount of players and having the best upgraded quarterback. So I have Oregon winning their first national title because why not? This year's kind of a weird year anyway. So
2 things. One, that's the second time we've talked about that Dan Lanning video. Can we just mention that he definitely said that to get clicks?
Oh, totally.
Yeah.
Like that
totally
was
the epitome of irony.
That was the recruiting 101 video.
Yeah, or hypocrisy, depending on how you look at it, DJ. But Jared, as Jared mentioned, everything's changing. So I think it's time for things just to stay the same. Pure SEC dominance, real SEC dominance, by the way. So we're not going to go our top 2. We're going to go our top 4 for me. You're going to have Georgia, you're going to have Alabama, you're going to have Ole Miss, and you're going to have LSU in the semifinals.
Like that beer with vodka?
It's going to be Georgia, Alabama in the national championship. It's going to be a repeat of 2018, and Alabama's going to win the national championship.
Somebody check in for the original case of Four Locos.
Yeah, we need Kelsey. I need a wellness check. Not Auburn Kelsey. Rhode Island Kelsey. I need a wellness check.
You know what? I don't hate the options of it being SEC as an SEC guy, but I don't like the fact Alabama beating Georgia is still a national championship game. That just sucks.
Please, anybody. It could be Ole Miss versus Alabama for all I freaking care. Just not Georgia, Alabama. I'm so sick of this crap. Really,
half my family's Georgia fans, the other half are Bama fans, and I can't get away with it. Like I could not survive another offseason dealing with them being successful, and then me having to wear their gear for the game day next year. That sucks every single time.
More tolerable if Alabama wins the national title. I'm okay with that.
I mean, they got to make up for those Golf Digest titles somehow.
Exactly. You got to rack them up. Hey, look, Kelsey, maybe if Auburn was a better school, they would also be getting Golf Digest national championships.
Sorry, we win championships in every other sport but football. My bad.
What else do you win championships in?
Swimming, diving, equestrian.
Not an NCAA sport, does not count.
It's definitely an NCAA sport. There's actually 3 different qualifications for equestrian.
Spending money.
Equestrian is not an NCAA sanctioned sport.
That's a club.
It's a separate entity. It is the National Collegiate Equestrian Association.
And guess what? They get a national championship for it. Don't care.
They're not NCAA sanctioned.
I can get a national championship trophy from
Doesn't matter.
$100.
They still get to carry a national championship trophy home. We also won it in golf. We also won it in, like I said, swimming and diving. We done in gymnastics 1 year. It's been a while. Softball 1 year. Women's basketball. That was about 25 years ago. Never men's basketball. But
same.
Yeah, there's a few sports there. Soccer, we've been in the Final Four.
Kevin,
hockey, while it's not a NCAA sport yet, hockey is a top tier.
I have a request.
Yeah.
If Miami wins a national title after your wedding, we were doing Stone Cold Stunners with the beers. If that happens.
No. No. Just. Okay, that's fair. But I mostly asked that question because I wanted to scream about how equestrian it's not an NCAA sanctioned sport.
Not my fault. No, not everybody's at Cal College is all I gotta say. Best large animal veterinarian school in the South.
I'm not
even going to make fun of that. That's impressive.
The Kentucky Derby has a actual contract with Auburn for vets. That's because Kentucky. Fun fact: Kentucky does not have an equestrian veterinarian program anywhere in that state. So the state of Kentucky actually has a contract with Auburn for putting in equestrian vets for the Kentucky Derby.
That's cool.
It checks out, but it's impressive.
Yeah.
Well, that's our show. I said I did not want to go for a marathon 5-hour show because it is a Monday night. We're just under 2 hours. Thank you, Kelsey, DJ, Jared, for joining me on this disaster. Actually, it wasn't too bad this time. That's my regular podcast. Kelsey, DJ, tell the lovely people where they can find you and your program.
Yeah. So, DJ, you got this one?
Okay. Do you want? All right, I guess it's me then. So you can find us on High Low Sports Pod for everything from YouTube to X and everything in between. We're live every Wednesday at 8 p.m. and you can find us on Spotify and anywhere else like to listen to your podcast the next day.
Cool.
Any personal accounts to plug or no?
Nah.
No.
Those are boring. They're just dog pictures. Nobody cares about those.
All right. Jared, where can the lovely people find you and yourself, your podcast and yourself?
Nobody cares about my personal accounts, but the professional stuff, you can find me and the Motley Crew at Corner Booth Pod. We have our ultimate team draft tomorrow. We are doing a 4-team PPR league. It is going to be an absolute nightmare. And we also have an NFL personality. Nate said he got one to reveal our draft order for us. I don't know who it is, but the fact that he got this getting me to somebody impressive. So check that out. Draft starts at 7:15. Show starts at 7 tomorrow on our Corner Booth YouTube. So check it out. It could be anybody from Antonio Brown to Pete Traeger for all I know. So
God, please let it be AB.
I wanted to be AB so bad.
That would fit everything.
Really
Corner Booth.
Cracker of the day so bad.
I don't think you'll be getting cracker of the day.
All right.
Yeah, maybe. Don't crush his hopes and dreams.
Yeah.
You get of the day.
Well, that's our show. I am Kev. You can find me at Belly Up Kev. I am vain enough to promote my personal accounts. No one else here is. You can find the podcast at Quad Tailgate. We do our episodes Wednesday nights, release it Wednesday night, although this week we're doing Tuesday because Kieran and my co-host has stuff to do. But follow us. Follow at Belly Up Media, at Belly Up Sports. I don't even know which one's active most of the time.
Both.
And yeah.
Belly Up Sports is the active one.
We still have the sponsor, right?
Yes.
All right. Visit SeatGeek. This is brought to you by SeatGeek. Visit SeatGeek.com. Use promo code BellyUpSports for $20 off your order.
We might not have it tonight.
Hey, notice I didn't say in the middle of it at the end, so that we can say, "Hey, look, we pointed you guys out," instead of me talking nonsense. Everyone have a good, safe, fun season. Remember, if you're going to get hammered while watching a game, do not drive after. Have 911 on speed dial in case you have to have your stomach pumped, or have the Uber ready to go because
never happened.
Ambulances are expensive.
Yeah. They are expensive.
Also, make sure you have a drinking buddy to drill your head off of a post if you get too drunk and pass out
I
during
got
dinner.
you, pal.
Always important to the experience. Everyone have a good, safe, fun week, season, and weekend.